If you've ever had a relationship end with someone who just went cold and walked away, you know how deafening that silence can be. You're left with a storm of questions, but there's always one that hits the hardest. It's the one that can really, truly haunt you, and today, we're gonna get to the bottom of it.
Right? This is the question. It's the one that has you staring at your phone late at night wondering, do you ever even cross their mind? Do they feel anything? It's a tough one, but it's exactly what we're here to unpack.
If that quote hits home, trust me, you are not the only one. That feeling of being totally erased is so confusing and incredibly common when you're dealing with this. But here's the thing, their behavior isn't just random cruelty. It actually follows a very predictable pattern, a pattern that's all based on the science of attachment. So today, we're gonna decode it and give you some real clarity. To really get it, we have to start with the why. Why do they act this way? Well, their behavior after a breakup is almost entirely driven by their attachment style. So let's start right there.
So what even is an avoidant attachment style? Well, drawing from the amazing book Attached, it's basically an internal wiring, usually from childhood, where deep intimacy feels like a threat. For someone with this style, getting really close feels like they're losing themselves, like their independence is being swallowed up. And this is so important. Their need to pull away has nothing to do with your worth. It's all about their own internal programming.
And this right here, this is the central conflict. It's a total mismatch of needs. Your core need, to feel close and connected, is their biggest fear. What feels like safety to you is the very thing that triggers their alarm bells about being trapped or controlled. And honestly, this one single paradox explains pretty much everything that comes next. Okay, so now that we've got that foundation, let's actually walk through what typically happens inside their head after the breakup. Think of this as a step-by-step look inside the avoidant mind.
So this emotional journey usually unfolds in 5 clear stages. It kicks off with a feeling of relief, which then shifts into them rationalizing everything. After that, nostalgia almost always creeps in. That's followed by a very specific kind of coping mechanism, and it all ends in one of 2 places: silent regret, or sometimes they try to come back. Let's dig into each one.
Now, this first stage is usually the one that hurts the most for the person who's been left. Right after the breakup, the avoidant ex often feels this huge wave of relief. But why? It's because the thing causing them anxiety, that pressure for intimacy, is suddenly gone. Their system was on high alert, and now it can finally power down. So that initial coldness you feel from them, it's not personal. It's just their system finding its way back to base.
Okay, next up is rationalization. To feel okay about their decision and to maintain that distance, they start using what the book Attached calls deactivating strategies. Basically, these are little mental tricks to shut down any feelings of closeness. They'll start to focus on your flaws, or that one argument you had, or the little things that bug them. It's not really about being mean. It's a subconscious way for them to push down their own need for connection and prove to themselves that being independent was the right call.
But here's the big turning point. After some time passes and they feel like they're at a safe enough distance, the threat is no longer there. And when the threat is gone, they don't need those deactivating strategies anymore. And what happens? Suddenly, all the good memories can come back. The feelings of love, the inside jokes, the connection, it can all come rushing back in. This actually has a name. Attachment experts call it the phantom ex phenomenon. It's this weird irony where they start to put you on a pedestal precisely because you're no longer available to threaten their independence. You become the one that got away. And this makes it so hard for them to move on, because no real person in front of them can ever compete with the perfect, idealized, and most importantly, safe version of you that now lives in their head.
So you're probably thinking, okay, if they're feeling all this, why on earth don't they just call me? Well, because actually dealing with those feelings would mean being vulnerable, and that's their kryptonite. So instead, they pivot to avoidant coping. They'll dive headfirst into work, become obsessed with a new hobby, or jump into a new relationship that's usually pretty shallow. It's all just a way to distract themselves from that longing that's starting to surface.
And that brings us to the final stage, which, honestly, is often pretty tragic. A few might circle back, usually when the loneliness gets to be too much to handle, but a lot of them won't. They'll just carry this quiet regret, missing you like crazy, but that deep-seated fear of intimacy is just stronger than the desire to reconnect. The very wall they built to protect themselves ends up becoming their prison.
So after going through that whole emotional roller coaster, let's circle all the way back to that original question and give you a straight answer. Now that we've peeled back the curtain and seen what's really going on in their head, the relief, the rationalization, the phantom X, and the fear, what's the real, honest-to-goodness answer? Do they miss you?
The answer is yes. Absolutely. They miss you. In fact, they can miss you incredibly deeply, but only once they feel they're at a safe distance. But here's the paradox that defines their whole experience. Their longing for you is in a constant battle with their fear of what a real, close relationship demands. And more often than not, fear wins. It's the mechanism that keeps them feeling safe, but it's also the very thing that keeps them lonely.
Look, understanding all of this is powerful, but it's really only half the story. Now it's time to shift the focus back to where it belongs, on you and your path forward from here. Because this knowledge isn't just about figuring them out, it's about empowering yourself.
So what do you do with this? First, stop chasing. In attachment terms, chasing, like calling a lot or trying to get a reaction, is called protest behavior. And even though it feels natural, it's the #1 thing that triggers an avoidant to pull away even further. Second, reframe what happened. Their distance was about their fear, not your value. Third, turn the focus back to your own healing and honor your own very valid need for secure connection. And finally, use this as a lesson. Learn to spot this pattern so you can avoid the painful, anxious avoidant dance in the future.
You know, all of this reminds me of a really powerful quote from Dr. Sue Johnson, who's a legend in attachment therapy. She says that the most basic question we're always asking in our relationships is simply, are you there for me? Your need for a partner who is there for you, who is responsive and engaged, that isn't being needy, it's a fundamental human need for survival. This understanding validates everything you've probably felt deep down about what a good relationship should be.
So, to wrap it all up in a nutshell, yes, avoidant exes do miss you, but their entire emotional playbook is designed to suppress that feeling, to manage it, and to keep their distance in order to feel independent and safe. Their silence isn't an absence of feeling, it's a defense mechanism against it.
And I just want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. What if true healing isn't about figuring out the magic trick to get them back? What if instead it's about finally understanding and respecting your own non-negotiable need for a real, secure connection, and then making a promise to yourself to never again settle for anyone who is unable or unwilling to show up for you in that way?